Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I will be doing an ink swatch of all the Montblanc inks that I have in my collection. So I used to do Inksplore series wherein I try 3 types of inks on 3 different types of papers, but I've since leveled up with my accessories. So I currently have these colored chips or like cards for you to put swatches on, as well as these B5 sized cards where you can put swatches and in the description. And I've recently started an ink diary, and this is a Hobonichi Pet Show original, and this is just an extra. So what I plan to do is I will use this as an ink diary so that I can keep track of all the inks that I have, as well as take note of the inks that I want to put in my fountain pens. So for this series, I will try to do 1 brand per episode so that you can have an idea of how my ink collection is and then get a look and feel of the different colors for that particular brand. So I don't have a lot, but I think I have enough. So I have a sizable collection of inks, and I just want to put them all here in an ink diary so that I can track. So for today's activity, I have here swatch cards. You don't need to have both, either is fine, or actually just have 1 notebook or 1 diary. I have here cotton swabs, and there's a lot of feedback about using cotton swabs for swatching. It's just my choice that I use cotton swabs to do ink swatches, but at the same time, I will also use a glass pen to do some writing samples. And for these cotton swabs, so when I ordered them, it arrived in the mail like this. So the pack was already opened. It's not hygienic anymore. So instead of throwing them away, I decided I'll just use them anyway for my ink diary. So let's get started with my Montblanc inks. While I'm swatching my Montblanc inks, I'd like to also share with you my fountain pen journey. Doing this reflection made me realize how important a hobby is for one's mental wellness and sanity. So for those of you contemplating how expensive it is to buy fountain pens, fountain pen inks, journals, remember that your mental well-being is priceless. If it brings you joy, peace, and happiness, then don't deprive yourself of that happiness and inner peace. My first encounter with a fountain pen started when a friend from our Dungeons and Dragons group gave me a fountain pen for me to try for a very good price. She also added a bottle of Diamine Eau de Nil. The pen was a Jinhao 992 demonstrator with a fine nib. But it was a wet pen, so it wrote like a medium. As a lefty, I'm very wary of wet pens, as I'm a side writer who tends to smudge everything I write. I tried playing with it for a few days before ultimately deciding it wasn't for me, and so it stayed on my desk for a few years. That was back in 2018. Fast forward to 2020, when the pandemic hit and everyone was forced to go on lockdowns and self-quarantines. I wasn't a stranger to work from home, but staying at home and not going out at all put a stress even on my introverted self. I found solace in journaling, basically putting all my stress, anxiety, and fears to paper, and giving myself a mental break. I went back to bullet journaling, minus the pretty spreads, trackers, and the like. I became a strictly functional bullet journaler, and that gave me some sort of order and normalcy with my personal and professional life. Then came the Hobonichis. Their 2022 Techo and accessories were going live on their website on September 1st, 2021. I was very intrigued and impressed with the Tomoe River paper that I bought multiple Techos and blank notebooks. I read in the forums that Tomoe River paper is fountain pen friendly, so I started to do more research about it. I reached for the Jinhao pen and Eau de Nil and started using it on my Leuchtturm and found a very gratifying experience. I just had to be mindful of the ink's drying time and make sure my hand doesn't smudge it. The more I learned about fountain pens, nibs, ink systems, and the different ink brands, the more I wanted to buy different brands with different nib widths and ink refilling systems. And the inks. Oh my gosh, it was a different rabbit hole altogether. My first love was the Pilot Prera in fine nib, and the Pilot Iroshizuku inks were a smooth experience. The colors are nicely saturated, well-behaved, and very much compatible even with non-Pilot fountain pens. I use my Pilot Kakunos to experiment with other inks, such as shimmer inks from Ferris Wheel Press and locally made Vinta inks. Coincidentally, my first ink was also Pilot. I started with ink cartridges, but have since moved on to bottled inks. Iroshizukus are my go-to inks for just about any pen. But I've only started collecting those small 15 ml bottles. I have yet to make that jump to the bigger Iroshizuku bottles. Aside from Pilot pens, I love Twisby pens. I love their design, aesthetics, and smooth ink flow. I especially love their rose gold pens and has since collected every single one of their rose gold pens. Their price point is also beginner friendly and doesn't break the bank. Speaking of breaking the bank, I fell down the Montblanc rabbit hole fairly quickly and easily. It started when my dad gave me his one and only fountain pen from Montblanc. It was a Meisterstück Classique 144 in black precious resin from the early 90s. He didn't care much for fountain pens and gave it to me when I mentioned one December evening how I'm starting my fountain pen hobby. What didn't help much was that the local distributor of Montblanc, Rustans, was having their end-of-season sale. While their Meisterstück collection was not on sale, their special editions were on sale for as high as 60% off. Of course, I had to get one, right? They also had these promos for credit cards that made it easier to purchase. So yes, the local boutique, my newfound friend sales associate, and my credit card company were all conspiring to make me buy these nice pens. As of this video, I have 3 pens newly purchased from Montblanc, which are currently on Nib Exchange in Singapore. 2 pens are to have the extra fine, and 1 Meisterstück Legrand in platinum will soon have the oblique medium nib. I love all the inks I've acquired. I lean towards work-appropriate hues that have been crowd favorites. I experimented on some shimmer inks, such as Ferris Wheel Press's Stroke of Midnight, as well as Vinta Ink's Tala. I have an affinity for Japanese inks like Pilot Iroshizuku and Sailor. German brands such as Lamy and Montblanc are a close second. Of course, I am barely 8 months into this journey, so I know I have a lot more inks, pens, nibs to try. I am very happy to be a part of a community that supports, encourages, and enables one another. I am very fortunate to learn from seasoned enthusiasts as well as experts. The rabbit hole seems to be pretty deep, I'm excited where it will take me, and I'm willing to be part of the ride. If you're still here, thank you for listening and watching me swatch inks, as I really find the activity calming and therapeutic. Thank you for your support, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on your own fountain pen journey. I hope you can consider subscribing if you like these types of videos. I'd appreciate a like if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon on my next video. Cheers!